Episode 10 starts with Al facing off against a wyvern, which he of course easily defeats. Although it took him quite some time, he'll report to the guild tomorrow. He then comes across a girl laying on the ground and asks, "What's wrong? Is she alright?" He picks her up and notices that she's still breathing. He can't just leave her here, so he takes her to his house. He's awoken by the girl telling him to wake up. She has a question for him. Why is she here? Didn't he kidnap her and bring her here? Al tells her no. He found her by the roadside, so he brought her here. She ignores what Al said and says he kidnapped her while she was unconscious. He tells her he brought her here because he was worried. She repeats, "Worried?" Al tells her anyone would be worried if they saw someone unconscious lying by the roadside. What on earth happened to her? She doesn't say anything, so Al says, well, good thing she's fine. She then says guild. She was heading to the Adventurers Guild at the royal capital to issue a quest, then begins to leave. Al stops her and tells her he'll escort her there. He needs to go to the guild too. He's Al Wayne, by the way. What's her name? She tells him Linea Magnell. Al tells her, well, nice to meet you. Rudy is then knocking at his door, asking if he's home. She just dropped by to see him. She opens the door to see Linea standing there. Rudy begins to freak out. Al is then asking, how is it? Is it too big? Linea tells him it's fine, and she's sorry for staining his bed. Rudy repeats, wearing Al's clothes? Having his bed stained? Linea turns around and asks Rudy, who is she? However, Rudy runs off, telling Al, shame on him. Al is then explaining to Helen what happened. Helen says, oh, she must have misunderstood. She'll explain the situation to Rudy for him. Al thanks her and says, by the way, she wants to issue a quest through the guild. The three of them are then sitting down. Helen says, oh, I see. To investigate the anomaly in her town, right? Can she be more specific? Linea tells her she doesn't know how to put it. Anyway, something is just wrong in her town. Helen tells her that's too vague. She's not sure if anyone would be willing to take the quest. Linea then turns to Al, asking if he's an adventurer. Is he strong? Al tells her he's just average. After all, his actual job is a farmer. But he'll take the quest if she doesn't mind. She desperately made her way here and even fainted by the roadside. He thinks the anomaly she talked about could be true, so he wants to go there and look into it. Helen tells him, alright, she'll leave the quest to him then, and asks, by the way, which town is it? Linea tells her Gull Town. Al freaks out. Gull Town? Isn't Gull Town super famous for its aspara? The aspara in Gull is greatly different from those in other places. Its flavor, freshness, and texture, and the sweet bitterness that lingers in the mouth is the greatest masterpiece that gives a sense of longing for the distant hometown. After all, that is the ultimate aspara that even the celebrity Decortis described as, I think of aspara, therefore I am. Helen tells him he's just exaggerating, but Linea says actually he isn't. Al shakes her hand. It's such an honor to meet someone from Gull Town. Helen tells her Al's a bit weird, but he should be able to help her, so she can trust him. After that, Al gets her new clothes. She thanks him, but asks why is he so nice to her? Does he want her to marry him in return? Al asks who does she think he is? She tells him a wolf trying to swoop in. Her dad said no man would ever help a woman without ulterior motives. Men are all like wolves. Al tells her it's right for her to stay alert when she's alone, but he means no harm. She tells him her dad also told her those who say so may try to lower her guard and take advantage of her, so she must be careful. She'll only go with trustworthy people. She grabs his hand and tells him she's going to watch him at a close distance for a while so that she can find out whether he's trustworthy or not. As they leave, Rudy is watching, saying Helen is a big liar. As they're traveling, Al brings up it's too hard to find a carriage to Gull Town. The driver tells him, well, that city has no trade with any other city now, so that's probably why. As they continue on, they are chased by a group of orcs, which causes Al to pass out. As he wakes up, he apologizes to Linea and notices something around his neck. She tells him it's a pendant that can soothe his nerves. Al says, I see, and thanks her. They then arrive. As they're leaving, the driver tells Al he's a good girl. Al asks what? He tells him after they got rid of the orcs, she put him on her knees, stroking his head and comforting him gently. As Al tries to enter the town, some guards stop him, but Linea tells him he's her guest, so they let him through. Al then looks back and notices that they're holding mops instead of spears. As they're talking, Al notices an aspara stand and asks for one skewer. Then tells the guy it said something strange happened in his town. The guy calls Al weird. Look for himself, everything's at peace. Al asks, but didn't they cut off trade with other towns? The guy tells him it's the Lord's decision, how would he know? Then hands him a skewer, but it's burnt. The guy then keeps repeating it doesn't matter. Al notices that something is wrong with everyone, and while he's thinking, he's picked up and taken by two individuals. He returns to Linea and explains what happened. She tells him, well, for now, come to her house for a rest. At her house, Al is asking where are her parents. Linea tells him she doesn't know. They've been missing since the anomaly rose in town. Al tells her, well, he'll look into that too. She turns around and says, Al, no, it's nothing. She'll leave the investigation to him. Al continues to investigate the town, but no one can communicate normally. However, he's approached by the Lord of Gull Town, Ramul Holm. Al asks, he's Ramul, the one who achieved the aspara revolution in this town? It's such an honor to meet him. Al says he must know the situation of the town, right? He has a lot of questions for him. Ramul tells him sure thing. It's a long story though. Would you like to have dinner at his place? Al tells him no problem, but is taken away again, and tells Ramul that he'll pay him a visit later. As Al is recovering by the fountain again, Linea asks, doesn't he find it strange? Al begins to talk about the townspeople, but she tells him no, he's the Lord. He's sane, but why does he stay in this town? Looks like he doesn't mean to ask for help at all. Al agrees, but there may be some unknown reason. Anyway, they'll know after hearing him out tonight. Linea sighs and tells him he had better not think too highly of others. He'll get taken in by bad people easily. Al tells her don't worry, he won't go into the Lord's mansion without preparations. They arrive at the Lord's mansion. Hopefully they can find some answers here. They eventually sit down, and Al tells him he'll cut to the chase. Does he have any ideas about the anomaly in Gull Town? The Lord tells him, well, where should he start? It's no longer his concern. Al asks, what does he mean? The Lord tells him nothing. He just wants him to do him a favor. Al tells him, what a pity, then beats up the guards. He's wrong if he thinks this can make him yield. He charges at the Lord, but Linea blocks his path. She told him, don't think too highly of others. The Lord tells her good job. Thanks to her, his plan has moved forward another step. Al repeats, plan? The Lord tells him exactly. The grand plan of ruling all humans. Here's a heads up for him, before he becomes a slave. He's Vritra, a noble demon. He can take away the thoughts of the person he possesses, just like this Lord. Yet, in that case, he can only manipulate one person. So he condensed his power into a crystal and buried it inside the goddess statue in the middle of town. Al says so that's why Gull Town became like this. His next target is the royal capital. He happened to hear an interesting rumor. There's a human who defeated Romeo and Ouroboros. If he can plant the crystal inside that guy's body, and rule over all humans through him, he'll rise to fame among demons. In other words, from the very beginning, he's been a part of his plan. Al asks Linea, is that true? She tells him no, it was a coincidence that she fainted on the way and got rescued by him. Vritra laughs. How dare she bite the hand that feeds her? She tells him she didn't. It's because he's holding her parents hostage. Al thinks, so that explains it. Vritra tells him enough chit-chat. He should know the consequences of revolting against him. Al tells him do as he wishes. Linea begins to remember her prior conversations with Al, with them saying that he won't go to the Lord's mansion without preparations. She tells Al to run. However, Al throws a flashbang on the ground and disappears. Vritra says, what the heck? Then the building begins to rumble, and we see that the goddess statue is destroyed. The knights around Al all collapse. Vritra asks, what is that stone? Al tells him it's merely for communication. It's his partner who destroyed the goddess statue. Vritra asks, partners? Impossible. He made that girl spy on him. Al asks, what if he did something while Linea wasn't around? He got rid of her surveillance twice after all. That's when he was taken away by the merchants. Back then, he thought it was the townspeople who carried him away. But it was actually his partners in the rural capital who came out of worry. They noticed the anomaly upon reaching Gull Town and conducted an investigation. So the second time he got carried away by them, they told him that they're sure the townspeople are being controlled by the goddess statue, and that he should sneak into the Lord's mansion. Once he makes sure the Lord is the mastermind, they'll destroy the goddess statue. Al asks, but how should he contact them? They hand him the stone, telling him to smash it, and the stone that she has will sparkle. Linea asks, did he give the spare pendants to them? Al tells her yeah. Alright, time to end this. His partners have gone to rescue Linea's parents. Vritra calls him an idiot. He has one more hostage. He'll kill the Lord if he dares to come near him. Just surrender. Al says he knows the Lord of his town loves aspara dearly. In that case, look at this. Vritra says what? Big deal. It's merely human food. Al tells him it's not ordinary food. This aspara is really something. It's the greatest masterpiece cultivated by the people and the Lord of Gull Town. How can a crappy demon like him deny it? If he still acts as his puppet, the aspara will be ruined. The Lord chooses aspara, and says the sweetness and rich fragrance are what he's been pursuing for decades. How could he forget his love for aspara? Vritra freaks out. How can he be defeated by a mere human? Al then punches him out of the building. After that, Linea is thanking him for everything. Al asks, by the way, is she really going to let him have this? She tells him yeah. And she kisses him and tells him when she's old enough, she'll go to the royal capital for him. By then, even if he has a girlfriend, she'll definitely win him back. Be prepared. Al tries to take in what just happened. She tells him goodbye and take care. As Al is walking away, he's tackled by Rudy and Helen. Linea says next time she'll kiss him right here. Then the episode ends. Some personal thoughts. I'd be curious to see how much they're covering of the light novel in this show, because an episode like this usually takes like 2 to 3 episodes, but they did it in 1. I'm impressed that of all the girls Al has interacted with, Linea, the one he just met, has gotten the furthest. I wonder how Rudy, Helen, and Fal are going to act. I feel like they're going to try and kiss him as well. A decent episode. I'm looking forward to next week. That's about it. So yeah.